It's my belief that business strategy is at its highest impact when you also consider timing and cadence of decisions. So, what major strategic decision left me questioning if THG leadership is aligned with that principle? So I'll decode that introductory statement and question a bit later in this content. But since THG, aka the company formerly known as the Hut Group, did just release their latest interim trading statement, I thought it would be prudent of me to kind of start this content off by running through some high level financial data. This will obviously update you on how the brands within the THG Nutrition segment performed recently, but more importantly, give context for my expanded strategic commentary on the global supplement market dynamics and trends. Just some quick financial mumbo jumbo housekeeping for us Americans. These revenue numbers that you'll hear throughout the content will be for the first half of 2024, so 6 months of activity, not three, because THG is not an American corporation and has different reporting standards for their public markets. Also, I did the currency conversions on all of these financial metrics, so the numbers that you will be hearing will be in US dollars, not British pounds. Moreover, I'll be using the constant currency percentages, which just means the currency fluctuations of the multinational company are stripped out for the ease of comparisons. Additionally, for those that might not be too familiar with THG, the company is currently made up of several different divisions. There are two branded product divisions that focus on the beauty category and then the previously mentioned nutrition category. They also have a proprietary end-to-end direct-to-consumer e-commerce SaaS solution called THG Ingenuity. That is essentially the master switch that powers THG Nutrition and THG Beauty. But the technology is also licensed to third party brands. And while I believe understanding the whole THG machine is important, this piece of content is only focused on updating you on the recent performance of THG Nutrition, which includes the world's largest online sports nutrition brand, MyProtein, and its family of sub brands. The largest of those being MyVitamins and then also MyVegan. So let's start with a quick financial overview of THG Nutrition. In the first half of 2024, THG Nutrition reported generating revenue of approximately $399 million, which was down 8.5% year over year. So, what's up with those extremely poor results when the overall global supplement market continues to grow? Well, if you've consumed these THG Nutrition quarterly updates throughout the last year or so, you'll recognize a few of these major things going on here, but I've also added up-to-date insights on each one, so kind of don't skip over this section by mistake. Firstly, THG still mainly deploys a global digital-first commerce strategy with 85% of its total revenue coming from direct-to-consumer and online marketplaces. That's an awesome long-term sales channel strategy, as e-commerce should continue gaining share of global shopping behavior at a consistent rate. But in the interim, supplement shoppers have increasingly begun enjoying the extended breadth and depth of categorical merchandising inside large brick and mortar retail channels. Acknowledging these shopping behavioral trends, THG Nutrition has continued investing in retail partnerships where they place a limited or exclusive SKU range as part of a bigger demand generation strategy. In fact, MyProtein is currently the fastest growing sports nutrition brand and fastest selling protein powder across the UK retail market. Additionally, MyProtein has been building previous offline retail partnerships in the US market, mainly GNC, Costco, and Meijer. In terms of the global retail landscape, MyProtein is now stocked in over 20,000 retail locations, which is expected to help drive the retail mix of total GMV from branded sales towards 25% offline over the medium term. One such example of physical retail expansion that continually gets highlighted by THG leadership is the development of MyProtein products that are sold under licensing agreements. Currently, this strategy is being deployed in the brand's two largest markets, the UK and Japan. When done correctly, these types of retail partnerships boost customer touchpoints and broaden brand appeal. Specifically in its home market of the UK, MyProtein just announced two new licensed product ranges that span from high protein dairy products available now to a chilled or frozen healthy high protein on the go range that will debut in the first quarter of next year. It's unknown the royalty payment that THG Nutrition books on these transactions, but to help us outsiders a bit, though, to kind of visualize the impact of these licensed retail sales, THG Nutrition started listing out its total global gross merchandise value. In the first half of 2024, the contribution from licensing partnerships improved THG Nutrition's total GMV to a sales decline of 6.8%. Secondly, THG Nutrition over the last several years has acquired several supply side businesses and needed to transition them from primarily servicing third party brands to now focusing on internal THG Nutrition production. So, this would be more of a behind the scenes distraction thing, but an important operational strategy that has already begun showing up from a bottom line profitability perspective. Additionally, multi year projects of moving to local manufacturing in both India and Japan have commenced, which will drastically improve delivery timelines, speed up localized product development, help minimize currency risk, and further secure significant cost savings. Over the next 3 years, India is expected to join Japan in becoming a key market for THG Nutrition. Thirdly, was a major strategic decision that saw MyProtein not exercise the highest level of pricing power on the market over the last 2 to 3 years. The strategic logic was that even though protein input costs had doubled to almost tripled in a short period of time, the company prioritized its loyal customer base over maximizing near term gross margins. If you are interested in learning more about that recent period of protein input cost inflation and what the current rising commodity prices in dairy markets could mean to supplement brands, I just released a YouTube video in the last week that I think you'll enjoy. But it's well documented in content that I was supportive of THG leadership's strategic decision, mostly because MyProtein utilizes a heavy promotional strategy, at least historically, and that price sensitive customer file would likely leave the brand if they instituted huge price increases like its competitors on its key whey protein SKUs. So, as I just mentioned, with THG Nutrition being a deeply vertically integrated business segment and the fact that the categorical margins already are traditionally higher than other ingestible CPG categories, leadership had the luxury of instituting price protection for consumers, in turn placing emphasis on customer retention strategies and keeping acquisition focused opportunistically on consumers that were looking to trade down within the functional CPG categories. But as you would expect, turning off aggressive acquisition for an elongated period did have a negative effect on THG Nutrition's active customers and total orders, down 8.5% and just shy of 11% respectively over a 2 year period. That being said, the hope is that the quality of that customer file should have improved, which is extremely important when you combine it with the next point about the global rebrand. According to THG leadership, the MyProtein rebrand is now largely complete and peak disruption is said to have been felt. What kind of disruption, you might be asking? Well, revenue performance reflects in part its decision to temporarily reduce product ranges and new product launches in each market. Next, promotional activity was higher than anticipated online as MyProtein prioritized speed of old packaging sell-through. As you can imagine, that impacted average selling prices to the tune of 11% year over year. It was noted in the press release that when MyProtein last underwent a rebrand in 2018, average selling prices fell 8% year over year. But honestly, I think this is an apples to oranges comparison. That's because this current rebrand is not only a packaging refresh, but an overhaul to its brand strategy. As a reminder, this rebrand is intended to move MyProtein away from primarily speaking to seasoned gym enthusiasts to creating a more inclusive lifestyle brand centered around health empowerment. We can see that as they start to reform the product architecture around 3 specific health objectives: prepare and optimize, build and recover, and everyday fitness. So I wouldn't be super concerned with that interim sales impact because one, this elevated promotional activity actually feeds into its old value-seeking online customer, allowing them to offload products in a lower visibility manner compared to offline clearance retailers. And then secondly, even after global markets have fully switched over to the new MyProtein brand strategy and is back to launching new products, a leading indicator of success in this particular rebrand would be a bit of customer churn. And if this rebrand follows historical patterns from the last MyProtein rebrand, growth in average selling prices will more than normalize itself next year. Early customer feedback of the biggest rebrand in the 20-year history of MyProtein is said to be promising, with brand awareness, consideration, and perception all demonstrating year over year improvements. But that being said, I'm not ready to claim this rebrand as a smashing success yet. THG Nutrition leadership will need to continue paying close attention to key commercial metrics over the next year because to continue moving upstream in positioning and unlocking sales channel diversification opportunities within the US market, MyProtein needs to ensure this rebranding decision is well received by and generates brand affinity with those less price sensitive customers. Now, there's a few game theory like chess moves ahead, which the massive rebrand and potential risk associated with it obviously impacts, but how about I quickly rattle off a few important and connected recent marketplace actions made by MyProtein. The first that I want to mention is an attempt to elevate the MyProtein brand by connecting partnership and product strategy. As mentioned in a previous quarterly breakdown, MyProtein announced that they will be the official nutrition partner for HYROX throughout the 2024 season. For those unaware, HYROX calls itself the global sport of fitness racing, combining traditional endurance disciplines with natural movements that test every facet of fitness and strength. HYROX is a more accessible and standardized fitness test compared to CrossFit, and the massive growth in the events feels kind of like early to mid 2010s era of CrossFit. But MyProtein seems to trust that HYROX is still in the early stages of growth as they just launched a line extension that was developed to specifically serve those consumers. Another more under the radar aspect of brand strength, especially when deploying a lifestyle branding strategy that seeks to help build global community through movement, is the portion of total sales that comes from apparel. And this is because the same younger consumers that hate traditional advertising will have no problem wearing branded merchandise if it says something about who they are. So maybe the ultimate test of CPG brand equity is not if they know you and ingest your products, but if they would wear you. And in the first half of 2024, MyProtein sold around $30 million in activewear. I'll say from personal experience, purchasing MyProtein activewear several times in the past, the brand had great quality apparel. And from the looks of recent launches, it also seems like it's getting even better. But let's shift this final part of the content into what I was referencing in that introductory statement, which was that business strategy is at its highest impact when you also consider timing and cadence of decisions. So, what's exactly ruffling my feathers? And I'm going to preface everything by sharing something I stated a year ago around the forthcoming MyProtein rebrand. It's just really a massive undertaking to seamlessly reinvent an almost $1 billion sports nutrition legacy brand that operates in 70 territories and has several thousand SKUs. And I know many of the THG Nutrition team members regularly consume my content, so I'm not really trying to be negative or rude or anything like that, just being real from someone that knows the true difficulty level here of pulling all of this off and getting the type of returns needed to win the hearts of internal leadership and public market stakeholders. Now that everyone knows, I fully acknowledge just how fucking challenging it would be to pull off what I'm about to say next. It's a valuable thought exercise to consider for those consuming this content that might face similar scenarios. So think back to those major MyProtein strategic decisions I laid out and then combine the third and the fourth ones. What? You don't remember which is which? Well, the third point was around how MyProtein didn't exercise the highest level of pricing power during the inflationary period and essentially turned off aggressive conversion driving acquisition methods. And then the fourth point was around the largest global rebrand in the company's history. When publicly throwing support to MyProtein for its strategic business decisions during the inflationary period craziness, I did so without fully realizing that I was faced with a major asymmetric information scenario. Now, I don't know when THG started working on the MyProtein rebrand, but I do know it was much earlier than I became aware of it, which was the middle of last year. Yet, knowing what I do know now about the rebrand's timing, I'm confused as to why MyProtein continued to build inventory of old packaging to such levels that required more than anticipated promotional activity to liquidate now, all while pausing aggressive conversion driving acquisition methods when they could have taken advantage of market chaos and competitive landscape weakness. Last year, I questioned why THG Nutrition ramped up net profitability to record levels when they could have aggressively pulled the acquisition levers again, but assumed it was mostly to pad financial metrics for a segment spinoff and IPO. With that looking less likely now, and again, I'm fully aware of the complex demand planning and inventory management that goes into THG Nutrition, but it seems like THG was intentionally creating a larger financial buffer from the protein input cost deflation for the upcoming downside risks of the rebrand rollout process that was kind of a bit mismanaged. But I don't know, maybe I'm seeing it from the outside incorrectly, but it just feels like they've been chasing a few earlier strategic mistakes and are now at the stage where they had to maybe eat a bit of crow and hope everything rebounds in the back half of 2024 against weaker comparatives. But I hope you enjoyed the first principles thinking that went into my latest YouTube video. If you did, can you do me a favor by hitting that like button? That quick and free action helps YouTube know my content is worth spreading to more people. Also, we're getting really close to reaching my next subscriber goal, and it would be great if you join me on this journey. But to do that, we need to fix the fact that slightly more than 3/4 of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, and that hurts my feelings. Regardless, I want to thank you for giving me some of your attention and time, and I'll see you on the next one.